Testing 1, 2. Bring that volume level down. Hi guys, Donnie Rouse here, and today we are going to talk about creating the life of your dreams, said differently, kind of like the whole law of attraction. And what it really comes down to is this: unless you could see it, you can't achieve it. Or if you can see it, then you could achieve it. And when we talk about seeing, what we're really talking about is embodying. What we're talking about is feeling. So you want to create something different in your life. You want to create this life that's full of passion, that's full of joy, where you're living life at your best, where you're performing at your best. You're growing, you're doing all of these great things. But what's happening? What's happening is you feel like, well, I can't see that big vision. Or you feel like someone else is living the life that you want, and it just seems so far away from you. If this is you, there's nothing wrong with you. It is simply just some rewiring that needs to be done. A lot of it is being guided by your subconscious. And you need to become aware of it and start impressing a different picture upon your mind. So this way you can start going in that direction versus going in the opposite direction. So many people drive with their eyes. You think that you're going in the right direction, right? You're moving. You think you're moving forward. You're driving, but the entire time your eyesight is looking in the rearview mirror. As a result, where your focus goes, energy flows. You're looking in the rearview mirror, and why you think you're going forward, what you're really doing is going back. Now, how true is that? Is that of what you're trying to create in your life? I know for myself, speaking from experience, I would say that I have a very positive mindset, a very optimistic outlook on life. But when I looked closer and monitored my thoughts, I found that I was in a state of comparison. I found that I was actually doing exactly that. Eyes on the road, but I was actually looking in the rear view mirror. And as a result, I wasn't going in the direction I wanted. I wasn't achieving the things I wanted. Well, in some areas of your life, right? Your life is a little bit more complex. It's not to say this is one big picture. There's different areas of your life. And in those areas of your life, you're likely exceeding or excelling at some areas. And then those other areas where you're not doing as good as you would like. And it all comes down to this. So what I want you to take away from this is just to become conscious as to where your thoughts are taking you. You could see where your thoughts are taking you depending on the results you're getting in your life. Right? If you are saying, you know what, I want to find love. But you're not in that relationship. Monitor your thoughts. What are you saying about relationship? What are you saying about what you constantly bring into your life? What are you saying about the selection of people? I remember I met once, I was at the farmer's market selling my coffee in Fairfield, and a woman came up to me. We started talking about personal development. And somehow we got on the topic of dating. And she said to me, she's like, well, you know what, like all the good ones are taken or something, or there's no good men out there. I was like, interesting, really? When did you come up with that belief? And then she was like, oh my God. All this time, I've been saying that. And it was something that like I'd heard my mother say, and I've been repeating this all the entire time. No wonder I haven't found anybody. Right? Because what our language does is it creates our world. Right? If I am saying, there are no good women out there. There's no good women out there. What makes you think I am going to find a good woman out there, right? Because I'm already saying like there is nobody there. So it's going to be very difficult unless someone blindsides me. Maybe I would find it. But what I'm trying to say is you are, in every moment, you are creating your reality. You want a different reality? You have to start thinking differently. And it comes with monitoring what's going on in your head, screening out the thoughts, becoming aware of them, and impressing new thoughts, new beliefs, new identities upon it, new vision upon it. Now, this will be a little bit, it's kind of like a simplified version of what I'm going to share and how I've done it with my day as well as how I have done it with my trips. We'll just go to the trips first. In all of my travel experiences, there's been many of the trips which have been like phenomenal, where I've met I've had amazing friendships, experiences that I will remember and relive just by the thought of it and bring me joy for the rest of my life. Then there are those where I feel like I went on the trip and then part of me was in escapism, where I went there and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go here. I'm going to check off this box. And there wasn't any real vision outside of that. And what happened as a result of not having a vision for this trip was that the experience often matched, right? Maybe I wasn't even didn't really even want to go to the destination, but I have this thing where I want to visit every country, which says, okay, well then find something that is going to inspire you. So Ireland was this for me. When I thought about Ireland, there was nothing about going to Ireland that was really like, oh my God, I can't wait, right? In my mind, I have this belief system. I was like, well, pub culture, like, I don't really even like to drink that much. Like, I like social drinking, but like the pub culture is not really mine. I love cafe culture. And then when I was thinking about like the weather and everything, actually, the weather was pristine the entire time I was there. But the mindset I was bringing to it colored my experience. When I was in Ireland, I was driving around, and many of the places that I went to, there was a lot of college students who would stay in the hostels. So they were almost using the hostels as like a temporary dormitory. They'd probably go home for a week, come back for a few days, attend classes, and then return. And so this mindset, I was like, well, it's so difficult to meet like people. I in my mind, I wanted to have a road trip. I wanted to have an adventure with people. But the part of me that I was bringing, because I was also at that time, I don't remember the mental mindset, but I was probably in a state of some like inner turmoil. And without going into the detail, because to be honest with you, I'm trying hard to, it's challenging for me right now to pull those details. But the way I felt, I brought to that experience. And I mean, in hindsight, I don't like the experience was actually a great experience. Had an amazing road trip. But it was nothing like some of the other experiences that I had in the past. Like when Thailand or when I went to Turkey, I mean, they were like, when I came back from those trips, I was on such extreme highs where I was like, oh my God, like this was the best trip of my life. But leading up to that, so not just to say like it was a great trip, leading up to it, there was so much anticipation and expectation about what I was going to experience on that trip. And as a result, even if the vision wasn't clear, it was the anticipation of something great happening that allowed me to be open to these new experiences, make new friends, and have the amazing trip that I did. So let's go back to your life. You're like, well, I don't know what my vision is. I don't know what the vision is for these areas of my life. And that's okay, because you don't always have to know what the experience is going to be. My favorite example, and I use this quite often, was Oprah Winfrey. They say, hey, Oprah, did you realize or did you know that your life or your career was going to be this successful, that you would be this big of a success, a household name where everyone in the world knows your name? There's no possible way I could have known. She was just taking the next step. But there is an anticipation. When you can't see the next step, you have to be in a state of anticipation. If you are in a state of like, oh my God, things are going to get worse, guess what's going to happen? Even when things are progressing for you, you're always going to be looking at what the worst is to come, and you won't even acknowledge the successes, and you're literally going to pull yourself backwards. But when you are in a state of anticipation, you are looking for the new opportunities. You are looking for new inspiration. As a result, all of the motion follows. So let's look at your life. What are the results you're getting? Pick an area, any area. Let's say your health. Like what do you have a vision for your health, right? Like what is the strategy to start to move in the direction you want to go? One is a vision. What is the vision for your health? And you may say, well, I have a vision, right? You know what you want. You're like, I want the strong body. I want the six-pack abs. I want to feel healthy. But then when you think about all the stuff that it's going to take you. Now the rear view mirror is, but exercise every day. Oh my God. Like, where am I going to find 10-minute exercise every day? Oh, and give up my favorite foods. Oh my, no, I can't do that. I mean, I love the foods too much, right? Pasta. I love pasta. So that is the rear view mirror. So you have, in order to go after that vision, you have to start aligning your actions and your thoughts with that of what it is that you want. So let's focus on, well, how can you start to do that? Part of it is the anticipation, right? Imagine having that. Like, what is the anticipation of it? Like, imagine like what people are going to say, how you're going to feel. And when you get into those states, now all of a sudden the habits and like the thoughts start to rewrite themselves. Now you're like, oh, wow, yeah, I really want it. This is your why. You're like, well, yeah, what do I have to do to get that? Yeah, let me start eating healthy. Let me have a salad instead of the pasta. Oh, those exercise, well, it's a beautiful day out. Let me just go out and just walk down the driveway and slowly I'll build. You start to look for answers. You start to look for different reasons to support you rather than reasons to say why you can't do what it is you want. So then the other thing is affirming it. Right? You need to impress what it is you want on your subconscious. And again, all of this sounds very simplistic in practice, and it is simplistic in practice, but not always simplistic in execution. Because you are so you're so conditioned to be a certain way that now going against that grain takes effort, right? And the best thing I think you can do for yourself in order to to start to move in the opposite direction is to give yourself grace. Is to realize that what you're doing has nothing to do with you. It's not a personal judgment against you, but rather it's just some conditioning that you need to rewrite. Right? An old program that you need to update, an old blueprint that you need to change. Now, this separates you from the action and from what the results you've gotten because you are infinite. There's nothing that you cannot achieve for your life. But it takes some effort. It takes some work. It takes breaking through the discomfort. At any moment, like whatever you want is always available to you. The spoken word. So I want to inspire millions of people through my life, right? I could sit back and be like, oh, how do I start to do that? Oh my God. Like, I mean, well, maybe I could share some of my travels. I could do that. I could do this rather than just saying, listen, here I am. I'm showing up and I'm going to give value and inspire people. Right? Once you step into the persona, into the identity, who you are, where the action that you need to take there are just, you're on the process, right? You're in process, I should say. One of my favorite things, right? In progress, in process. You are creating it at any moment. The moment you speak the word, it becomes real. There's a book I remember saying, like, ask, it is given. So when you ask, you look for the answers. You have faith and you start to look for the answers. You want guidance, right? Seeking clarity. I want some clarity. I want to be in a career that I am passionate about and love. Source, God, whatever you want to call it, guide me today. Don't do anything. Just look and wait for the answers to come. Sometimes it's so easy to go into our minds and try to create something that is not even aligned with us because we see the person next door. Oh, wow, they have the Mercedes. I don't even really like the way that car drives, but yeah, I want one too because I need to keep up with the Joneses. So pay attention to the internal voice, like the real you, your heart speaking. I really do believe that everything, love, happiness, prosperity is all your birthright. But in order to obtain or in order to receive that birthright, you need to first let go of all the baggage that's holding you back. And again, it goes back to your focus, having the vision, following the inspiration and the mental image that is uniquely yours. Because every single one of us has a life that is unique to us. We have a calling that is unique to us. But when we're trying to follow, what they're doing or what that person over there doing and that person way over there, now all of a sudden we're taking away from the uniqueness that is us. And now our message, our value just kind of gets muddled. So why do I add that? I add that because in the process of life creation is very easy. And I remember doing an exercise. I was at a seminar, and we were doing like a life visioning. We're like, all right, well, write down everything you want in the next 3, 5, 10, 15 years. And I'm writing down, I'm like, I'm not really sure what I want. I'm like writing down like helicopter, Lamborghini. I'm like writing shit that I mean, not that it's not great stuff, right? If that's what moves you. But it had no emotional intensity, no emotional value for me. I was putting it down because at the time, this is what I was told successful people, what success was. It was like, oh, it was the big house, it was the fancy cars and all this stuff. But it's not I want to have nice things. But there's a certain image I have for life. Part of that is experiences around the world, living in different places in the world. That drives me. That increases the emotional intensity and the reasons why. Like the car, I could care less about the car. I really don't. I mean, I don't fancy cars that much. There are some watches that I like. There is I like the old school Ferrari 308 GT, but there's not the emotional intensity. Like I don't know. You have to use your own internal compass. Go after what it is that is important to you and aligned with your life, not by what anyone else wants, what anyone else thinks, or especially your parents or the religious institution. I learned that one when I was dating my ex-girlfriend of 6 years. Everything on paper she had. The only thing is, it wasn't the list that I wanted, right? It was the list I was told to want in a significant other. And while I'm not downputting, like she had a lot of great values, we just weren't aligned. It wasn't what I wanted. Like the mindsets were different, at least from where I am now, and I guess on some level where I knew I was headed. Right? Your intuition, it's always there trying to guide you toward your truest you. And it takes bypassing that mental conditioning that you've gotten the entire time you've been growing up. So in closing, how do we start to bring this into our day? Again, one, have a vision for your life, right? You don't have to have the exact vision. Just have a general idea to start and allow your intuition, allow that guidance to give you the vision. And you're like, well, how do you allow it to give you the vision? There are moments, if you're paying attention, there are moments where you're going to get a picture in your mind, something that is going to inspire you. When that happens, when inspiration hits, capture it. Put a note in your phone. What is the thing that you envisioned in your mind? How did it feel? Capture it. So this way, when you go back and you reread it, now all of a sudden you have something that can guide you forward. This is the vision. Secondly, monitor your thoughts. Like, where are you moving? Are you moving forward? Or are you moving backwards? Do you think you're moving forward when you're looking in the rearview mirror? And you know this by the results you're getting. Like I said for myself, I thought that my focus was always positive in the direction when I wanted, until I realized that I had my eyes in the rearview mirror and that I was focused on lack. I was focused on all the things I didn't have and comparing rather than saying, well, what is my true path, right? Don't get stuck in that trap. And then third is affirming it. Like, there are different ways of impressing the visions on your mind. One is just constantly seeing it, imagining it already be yours, right? Again, going back to the opening quote, if you can see it, you can achieve it. If you can see it, aka feel it, that it's real, then you can achieve it. And this is true for everything in your life. Like, think of all the things you've excited. Like, you had this vision, anything that you've accomplished, there was the thought, the picture in your mind of you having it. If not, chances are you would not have attained it. And then lastly, stepping into grace, stepping into faith, trusting that there's a higher power than you that is guiding you and leading you to your unique path. The only thing that you need to do is to ask it for guidance and look for it to wait for it to show up. Like resistance. When you have a resistor, it resists the amount of electricity thrown through a wire, right? Think of divine inspiration. Think of creative energy. When there is resistance, less of it flows. Your point is to stay in the least resistance you can, so this way you could receive that. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it gave you some insight as to how do I start to create a different vision for my life, as well as to feel the vision, and also just the awareness as to where you are putting your focus, because where you're putting it, that's where you're headed. So if you enjoy this, please share this post with 5 people. Hit that like button. Questions, comments, leave them in the chat. I hope you enjoyed this. Remember, you only get one life. Live it. Live fully. Live passionately. Live now. God bless, and I will see you again soon.